You better go spend an extra day at the church.
Hearing none, those.
He's in charge of.
New business, we have for us
He's always in the back.
signed
The women when they're.
servicing medical agreement with Dr. Fanny on the Summit.
He's probably more.
Official, I think I recommend, that's actually better than his usual signature. You take that. We can do this as a block probably. Approval of Dr. Costa as new medical director for Richmondville. Is that it here, Phil?
That's right in that folder, yeah.
There's that. Good. Yep. Okay. And I'll have, that's right, this one block. This is for Oneonta, City of Oneonta Fire Department. Dr. Tamika Archinard, signed on as Service Medical Director. I imagine this is temporary, right? She's temporary, but in any event, we have a medical director. So those three, Dr. Fanny, Dr. Costa, and Dr. Archinard, have agreed to be service medical directors for Summit, Richmondville, and Oneonta City. Any discussion about that? All those in favor? That's approved. Approval of restoration of ALS privileges for Richmondville agency. Where's that on this list?
I'm sorry, what?
The Paseco comes a little bit later.
That's a different one.
So, what's the zone going to lead the discussion about Richmondville ALS? I didn't know that they had ceased being ALS.
Well, they had to cease being ALS since they didn't have a medical director.
Okay.
So now that the medical director has been approved, this is rather a pro forma.
Okay, all right. Letter received from Otsego County, commenting on the proposed CMAQ. Yeah, did everybody get a copy of that? Does everybody know what that is about?
Yeah, we had a letter from Colleen Besley from the Otsego County Advisory Board stating there that they are firmly opposed to any notion of all ALS agencies being required to have controlled substance licenses as a condition of their practicing at the ALS level. She wanted the REMAC to be aware of that.
Right. So we just take it as an advisory. The council hasn't really, council itself hasn't really said anything about that.
Our council?
Yeah.
No, our council hasn't said anything about it so far. I believe the SEMSCO is, Mark could correct me on that, but I believe the SEMSCO is conducting some sort of a survey.
The survey is complete. I understand if it isn't out, it will be out very soon, and I'll double check on that. But
it should be going out at the end of this week, beginning of next week.
okay, thanks, Mary.
Since I get all the responses.
Yeah.
Who's the survey going to?
Agencies that do not have narcotics.
Right. Ambulance services and first response services.
Phil, is there a way you could just send me a copy of that letter so I can forward it on to the committee?
Oh, sure, I have it in the,
all right, thank you.
in the computer. I will do that.
All right, for information only, Nathan Latour, letter on DOH approving Nathan Latour narrow banding. Does the DOH actually approve hospital-by hospital?
This was a letter from Dana Jonas to Nathan Latour saying that the state is in favor of what they've done as far as the narrow banding, and it's the first letter of its type that I've received. So
This handles, most of the counties have handled the communications with the hospitals, right?
Yeah, I don't think there was any requirement that they get approval from the department about that.
Right, I wasn't aware of it. We have a letter from Paseco Volunteer Ambulance.
Paseco, yeah, Paseco Volunteer Ambulance.
So I'll just read it aloud, so like, that's what they're asking. We are requesting to have a locked cabinet on our ambulance. This will hold equipment and supplies exclusively for the fly car from ambulance of Fulton County and the ALS providers on speculated volunteer ambulances. This will be extremely helpful on link-ups and mutual aid situations. The access to this area will only be given to those who are qualified to use the material/equipment. So Phil, this seems like it involves your neck of the woods. Why don't you explain how this works?
The Seco Ambulance is a BLS agency. They have been BLS for a number of years now. They were ALS some years ago, but lost a lot of ALS personnel. So they've been functioning 24/7 as a BLS agency. And for ALS, they depend on the Fulton County fly cars to link up with them, or possibly for speculators to link up with them, to intercept with them when we have ALS available during the daytime or whenever the call arises. The request was made actually by the Fulton County fly car guys that a lockbox on board their ambulance, a lock cabinet on board their ambulance would be very helpful. They wouldn't have to carry all the stuff from their fly cars, or the Fulton County intercepting ambulance wouldn't have to carry things from the ambulance into the Seco ambulance. They'd just get on board and unlock the cabinet. And as I recall, the REMAC dealt with one of these requests a year or so ago, done at Seco County, and gave permission for BLS ambulance to have such a cabinet on board. Access would be only for the Fulton County ALS personnel and the speculator ALS personnel.
I think they might have a problem with the cabinet, but like what's in the cabinet?
Okay, that would be, well, I think what they're proposing is the ET supplies.
So advanced airway stuff.
Yeah, advanced
No
airway.
drugs.
I'm sorry.
No drugs.
No controlled substances. I don't know if what they were thinking of as far as drugs, to be perfectly
In
honest.
Otsego County, we did allow the cardiac drugs and your basic ALS drugs.
That was
And
my recollection,
But-
Dave, yeah.
Yes.
With Otsego County, they had someone from one of the other ALS agencies that was responsible for inventorying and keeping it up current.
Right.
I believe Dana Wagan was made responsible for
Right.
making sure that it was.
The
kept
ALS
current.
provider using agency had to maintain all the drugs in the daytime.
That would be the, actually, whatever equipment was in this locked compartment, the proposal would be that one of the fly car folks from Fulton County, who's also a member of Speculator, he's a volunteer member of Speculator, and would be responsible for making sure that everything was up to snuff in that lock cabinet.
And it would, so it might include similar to contents, cardiac drugs, no
No
controlled substance.
No controls.
And the maintenance would be by which of these agencies?
It would be, actually would be, technically would be by Speculator, but one of the fellows who's on our agency is a critical care tech, who also mans the fly car during the day, so he would be responsible for that. It's not that he volunteered to be responsible.
So we could say, one motion would be to approve with stipulation that speculator volunteers security.
Yeah.
That's really an ALS lock cabinet.
It's an ALS, it's strictly an ALS lock cabinet. There's nothing in there but ALS stuff, and nobody would have any other reason to go into it.
All right, so it's kind of a convenience
It is a convenience, a real convenience for the fly car.
and the patient. Any,
Ultimately, the patient.
any further discussion or input on this? All those in favor? Okay. All right. Milford is joining the CPAP programs that Dave wants to talk about that.
Milford's actually not one of my squads, but I forwarded him all the training program and all the required paperwork. Matt Jones is on board, and Milford wants to come up to speak with BLS.
Okay. So Dr. Jones is the medical director for Milford.
Yeah, he signed a letter saying he was all in favor of it, and he would follow through with the paperwork supervision.
And this is part of the demonstration project.
Right.
CPAP data.
It's being run by the Finger Lakes region, and the director of the Finger Lakes region, Bob Stuber, is in charge of it.
Okay.
When are you gonna bring that online? Do you know, or do you already have it online?
We've already got training in progress.
Okay, please remember to let me know so I
Yeah.
can let.
All right, so that was new business. Old business, update any new protocol
I have a new
feedback?
business item.
Hey, what?
I have a new business item.
Okay.
We have a new level of EMT in New York State, the AEMT curriculum. Is the REMAC and this region going to develop protocols for that level? So when we start training, that they'll be able to act and have protocols to act with.
All right, so back up and say that again. What was, so this is ALS, EMT?
This is advanced EMT, which
Advanced EMT.
is going to eventually replace the intermediate.
Okay.
And right now, there are no protocols for that level of training.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong. Intermediate is sort of nationally recognized level, is that right?
This is the new national curriculum.
This is the new
Okay.
national curriculum.
So did they change their
They
terminology?
changed their name and scope of practice.
All right, so intermediate is passe.
New York State Intermediate is very much passe, yeah.
All right, so it's being replaced by
AEMT.
I don't know, maybe Rich can give us the particulars.
AEMT used to be sort of like a generic for all ALS.
Right.
Now it's very
I
specific.
predict there's going to be a little confusion about the terminology, because AEMT,
Now it's specific and doesn't imply critical care, and doesn't imply paramedic. Okay, Rich, you want to?
Well, that you just spoke to it, the old term intermediate, everybody asked the question, between what and what? What does that mean, intermediate? So it's advanced EMT. Their scope of practice are those skills that have been demonstrated to have a positive outcome in patient care, and have been exclude things like intubation, for example. We're in favor of supraglottic airways, but the addition of certain medications to the intermediate that previously or two before they did not have. Things that have been proven to save lives is the mantra that was said by Dr. Mance and company when they did the scope of practice.
All right, so we're just awaiting. Protocols will come from the state. So-
Protocols are developed by regions.
But
Not
does
the ALS
the state have a
protocol.
level of care out?
This
for
is
the
an ALS protocol. AEMT is ALS.
All right, so there'll be a
So the
new
scope-
item.
The scope of care has been outlined on the state website with all the national curriculum standard changes. Jump in anytime.
You're doing great.
And,
So ALS protocols in the future,
we're,
near future, will have stop lines for AEMT. Critical care remains, right? And paramedic, no longer enter intermediate. Right?
so I think that's something that the collaborative protocol group,
Okay. Right.
I mean, I'm sure that I've heard certain course sponsors will not start to develop the curriculum until they know that there are protocols, so when they graduate someone, that they're able to have a scope of practice in the field. And right now, that's non-existent.
No one is teaching that at the moment?
Yes, they
No,
are.
planning to
They
teach
are.
it?
There have been several classes in the western part of the state, that is correct.
There are classes out there, and I'm assuming it is ALS only in part because if you look at the course sponsorships, the way they have delineated who could teach what, they designate AEMT under the specific of advanced life support course sponsor, so hence it must be advanced life support, at least in the state's eyes, but Mary and Joe can sort of speak more to that.
In all honesty, we're thinking about doing one for the fall.
Okay.
So we need to get, when we have them out the other end of the educational part, they're going to need to know what they can and can't do,
So the quick answer would be wherever the intermediates used to be.
plus more. There's more to it.
More and less.
More or less,
Yeah.
depends on
More or
what you
less.
got, yeah, it's different.
So that's something that the collaborative group, I think, really needs to work on
So-
soon.
Did you send an email into the collaborative group?
If you
No,
go to the
because
State
it just
Department
came
Health
up.
website, there's a specific page just for transition material, and it outlines it pretty well.
This is in a level that this region particularly should embrace. I had the good fortune of speaking to the record in Alexandria, along with Jewel Scandon from Iowa and Deb Akers from Western Virginia. And this level was specifically designed for the rural and wilderness and frontier emergency squads, so that they could have a level above EMT, but was not quite as long as paramedic. And it's supposed to be the exact same length as an EMT original. The idea which is you would become an EMT, practice for a few years, when your refresher came due, you would advance to the next level with some experience under your belt.
Phil and I have a meeting with Mountain Lakes and Remo next Friday, right?
week from tomorrow.
So we can bring it up then,
Yeah.
and,
At least with Remo, I don't know if Mount Lakes is going to be
Oh,
there.
you don't know?
Travis has
Okay.
been invited, but as of 2
Well,
days
we'll
ago,
bring it
still
up.
hadn't responded. We'll bring it up, yeah. I
and see
suspect
what-
maybe that's what Tim is going to be talking
Could
about,
be.
too. Tim probably asked us to meet with him over Dunsmore.
I know I've had conversation with Travis about, specifically about this issue, so I know he's up to speed.
But I know we're going to meet in Glens Falls because we're going to visa stamp for it and everything. You know. I just wanted to see if anybody was listening.
Part of Canada. All right, okay, good. Thanks for that update. Anything else under new business?
I've got something. With medical control, can we put some sort of mechanism into place that, like, over the summer while you guys aren't meeting, if an agency needs to transition a medical director, that there's some sort of mechanism to make that happen, so agencies don't have to wait for the next meeting for you guys to approve that?
Yeah, I think Bill can coordinate that.
Yep, I can send it out by email. Sure.
And that's perfectly acceptable with you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we've done that before.
yeah, that's been done in the past.
Good
And
point,
we've
though.
always allowed executive decisions over the summer, right?
Yeah, but not for the REMAC. The REMAC, we can email Doc.
Right.
I'm glad that's what your question was. I thought you were going to ask, like, how do we train medical control physicians?
This begs the question of whether some of them need retraining or not.
Interesting, because right now, in our hospital system, we interact with the state region, and they were putting massive physicians through their hoops. Because that'd be a nice thing to get
Remo's talking about the same thing.
state standardized, or at least, the collaborative standardized. Right?
We've tried very hard in our region. It's been a
It's very hard to maintain because of, the position change, turnover, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
I think if the agencies know their protocols really well, they can be very helpful online. And the doctor requests a new thing, just reminds them that we no longer carry it. All right.
Well, if the doctor orders a login, for example.
Yeah. Okay, old business. There's no new protocol. It sounds like we have some work ahead of us to develop that.
I haven't received any specific feedback at all.
It's probably not a bad timing. I think the collaborative was up for redo relatively soon anyway. So. If you do have any comments about the redo of the collaborative protocols, get them to Phil. Phil can get them to REMAC and share with Remo. So it's Mountain Lakes ourselves and Remo that are collaborating. For now, the AEMT thing may be the first opportunity to engage in the much larger region. As I said last meeting, what started out as a tri-regional collaborative protocol is now involving 7 regions.
Hudson Valley put the brakes on it.
Oh, they did.
Recently. But
Check
other
it
than that,
out.
you still have Srems and West Chester.
Oh,
I don't know if they-
Southern Tier is on board.
So Srems is on board. yes.
Susquehanna.
Susquehanna.
Yes.
Hudson Valley.
Did you say Westchester also?
That's the other one I heard, but I heard from someone at the Hudson Valley that they were slowing down, they were cooling off a little bit. I don't know that it's off the table, but
Yeah.
they
Okay.
were slowing
I
down.
didn't know our protocols were that hot, but
That was
were that hot.
hot.
But they haven't
About it.
cooled down.
All right. Narrow banding, any news around the region for that? I think everybody's pretty much converted it.
Fulton County, this is a quick point of information, but it works out very well for us. Fulton County Ambulance is switching all their new radios over to cover the southern Hamilton County frequencies, and that works out really good. Works out really good.
Hold on a second.
All right. Any other business, old or new, or intermediate?
Old business, you were going to see what the REMAC doctors were doing with the drug substitution policy?
No, they're not in the town, right?
In regards to trying to keep it the same between the two regions?
Excuse me, was that addressed to me?
It was thrown out in the middle.
Well, I remember the grid.
Yeah, and you said you were gonna see what Remo docs were doing with it. And
I think, but the state came out with their own.
The state came out with a policy statement, which I transmitted to everybody.
There's a state grid, yeah.
But how we translate it in our region. I thought we resolved it.
I thought that had been.
I thought we went like, drug by drug.
But, yeah, I think you did, but there's nothing.
out
There's
there.
nothing that
Right.
you've issued out to anybody, and I believe one of your comments is that you kind of wanted to see what the docs over in Remo were thinking
How they're
about the policy.
responding to the
Yeah.
state. I think we should allow it back into, so, we can, but I remember going through the list and saying this before that and that afterwards, and going through.
Yeah.
But we didn't publish, there was nothing moved out to the agencies on
We
that.
could look back and create our errors, create
Let me whip a grid together and send it to you and see what you think of it.
It changes almost weekly.
Oh, that's the trouble.
And so there's many different, I think a hospital can experience shortages that a agency may not, based on their supplier, and the opposite can be true.
We've noticed that we were able to get the EPI 1 to 10 and Tour was not able to.
And it varies from hospital to hospital.
Right.
Tour just got their EPI 1 to 10,000 back, they just restocked us.
Did they
We
really?
weren't having any problems with St. Mary's, but we did have a huge
Yeah.
problem with
We
Tour.
just have to
but
be
they
on
just
our
restocked
toes
us
and
this
know
week.
these drugs inside and out and what we're doing.
It requires really close communication with the hospital pharmacist.
It's a prescription for error. I mean, in the safety world, flipping out drug concentrations in your business is asking for it, especially if they look the same.
Because once you make decisions, we're ready to put together a PowerPoint and go through and train, but we need something to go on.
It's going to be, you're going to be doing it every other week as the drugs change. So, yeah, I think we need the menu of what's available.
Sure. The menu changes.
With some
They-
disclaimer of,
They update the-
concentrations may vary.
Yeah.
That's really what we have to say. Epi, you may be able to get epi, but what concentration?
Yeah, we've been
User
notifying people
beware.
by email, but
Yeah.
that's
It's
about
just-
as much as we can do.
Has anybody noticed a shortage of EpiPen availability?
There was, with the volunteer agencies and like Gloversville Fire Department, they were having a hard time getting the EpiPens back, but I believe that's been resolved as well.
Okay.
We were not able to get them back from the hospital.
The
It
last
was
I saw
costing, and because how the tour set it up was that if you bought your first set of EpiPens or anything, then as they're out of date or used, they would do the replacement
Right.
free of charge. And what had happened is because they could not get the EpiPens, the agencies were having to buy them. And there's no replacement there for that. So it
It's
was.
scary. It's just the killer bees are getting a lot of money together to buy up the pharmaceuticals.
There is also a new EpiPen on the market called an AviQ by Sanofi. It's a little bit
It's
smaller than a
square. It's
cigarette
about-
pack.
Yeah.
Square?
It's square, and it talks to you.
It's like an AED.
I might have one.
You're right.
It
And
says,
they're in use because I saw a piece on the news a week or so ago about children and medications and stuff, and there was this kid with one that, and Beth had just shown me her trainer the day before.
What's it called, Beth?
Yeah, it has a piece you
It's-
pull out on the bottom, and when you pull it out, it talks to you.
-Q by Sanofi. I will forward you the website. They are more than willing to send trainers.
And the big point is they're considerably less expensive than the EpiPens we've been able to buy, which are now $90 or something.
So
Well,
that's-
they're more than that. The EMV catalog has them for over $200.
Oh, I know, they're ridiculous.
Incredibly expensive, yeah.
And
So-
They're only good for a year and a half.
So
these
a lot
are-
of pharmacies are making you buy two of them.
You
They're
have to
not
buy
giving
pairs.
you have to buy the pair. And my insurance company doesn't cover mine, and it's $150.
Well,
Plus the expiration date is 1 year.
1 year, so every year,
But, yeah, I will forward the website for that. But
Appreciate
it's
that.
a, It's a funky little device, because you pull it out of the case and it starts talking to you. and it's like-
Can you order it right from that company?
Well, I don't know if you can, all I have ordered is the trainers.
Okay.
So I don't know how they're distributing, but they were I asked for 5 trainers because of EMT instruction, CMT, and the Catskill camp. And they sent me like 7 trainers so that I could get them out and around.
That's great.
Pretty cool, you just
All right.
hold them up against the patient, and it counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, remove it.
Injection complete, yeah, and it's a 5-second instead of a 10-second.
So here's a question for you. What was the first robot murder in medicine that I'm aware of?
Robot murder in
Well,
medicine?
yeah, an error that killed somebody.
I don't know.
It was radiation software delivered on 20 minutes. What the programmers thought it was going to do. And killed the person. So, every time I hear about one of these robots coming out, I've seen enough sci-fi to worry a little. All right, any other business for the REMAC before we go into executive session?
Yeah, we have a couple of items for executive session. There is nothing else on board.
Get the message.
Okay, look at this.